Gambling, the final frontier. A place where so-called degenerates are transformed into the societal elite at the pull of a lever. It is a culture that only rewards the devoted, as a whopping 99.9% of all gamblers quit before their big win. As an 11-year-old child, my parents made the highly informed decision to get me the newly released iPad. I think the interaction went something like this.
Hey, baby, I think our little man wants to be an astronaut or something, so let's get him the screen with unfiltered, unregulated access to the internet.
Gary, you and I both know this marriage is falling apart. Well, to deal with that trauma, I became an MFing hustler, ripping mad slots on Big Fish Casino. Since I had no money, I was able to acquire more fish coins, I don't know what it was called, by watching ads, logging in daily, and sharing the app with my friends. I think that last part in particular captivated me, as I am a miserous wench who only truly profits at the extreme capital gain relative to my acquaintances. Fast forward a couple of years, and online gambling evolved to develop, in my opinion, the best wager yet: Crash. Crash, or Bustabizz, if you will, combines the thrill of unreasonably large riches with the illusion of control. Users wager an amount, and a rocket ship takes off, with a gradually incrementing multiplier, representing the amount their wager will be multiplied by.
Hold hands. Why are your hands wet? Why are your hands? I don't care!
The user can cash out whenever they want. A far cry to many other gambles where the cash out is reserved for a unanimous moment, such as the ball landing in roulette or the dealer revealing their 6 blackjack in a row.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
The catch is that the rocket will crash at any moment, wiping all unredeemed bets off the board. The experience is exhilarating, and in my opinion is the most gamified gambling game out there. However, with very limited exceptions, there is no way to experience this hustler's paradise in a casual way. I mean, you can go on the website and tell yourself, I think the line will crash at 2.14x multiplier, or whatever, but it doesn't compare to the gratification of pulling it right. Oh! Harkening back to my days at the Big Fish Casino, I've set out to develop Bustabizz, so that the world, young and old, rich and poor, Beta and Sigma, may experience Crash. This is technically the entire engine behind the game. Just about everything else is fluff. The game is so addictive and incentivizes greedy behavior because the longer the number is rising, the faster it increments. In order to make the game as engaging as possible, I wanted to make sure the number grew fast enough to make players wish they stayed in the round just a little longer, or feel relieved when the line crashes just after they've cashed out. I use an acceleration variable on the incrementing script to somewhat resemble the Bustabizz website. Next up, I had to figure out when the game should crash. There's actually a great video by Minding the Data that explains the math behind Crash. I ultimately decided to model the crashing around weighted probabilities. This is based on the video where it stated the historical odds of the line not crashing at 2x multiplier was approximately 48% chance, which is nearly identical to landing in red or black in roulette. I made the odds slightly better at values less than 2x, and it got worse over time for values over 2. I was shocked to discover that there's actually a 3% chance the line will always crash at the 1x multiplier mark, making it impossible to win on that round. This is the perfect counter to the strategy of withdrawing at lower multipliers, because generally lower multiplier bets will typically play more games, leading to the higher chance of the auto crash. So, of course, I chose to implement this as well. Gameplay-wise, this contributes nothing. It can't be interacted with, and the number already details the information the line loosely conveys. However, it has been the thing that has stopped me in all my other previous developmental efforts. This actually isn't my first rodeo making a Crash game. My first version, I thought,
Well, the line kinda looks like a graph, so let me use a graph library.
and I basically just had a chart that constantly redrew itself. As you can see, this was a highly optimized approach that looked just phenomenal with no problems. Shortly after, when a buddy and I took a crack at developing it again, we actually found a graphics library called P5 and borrowed some code. However, it only gave us like 3 days to make it, so... one more failure story. I developed a version of Crash using just the basic JavaScript, CSS, HTML stack, and this was probably the fastest progress yet. And it should be, considering I've already tried 3 times to make this game. As I was building this version, I just felt like a mobile edition would be best suited for this type of gameplay. So now, we in Unity. My first attempt was basically to draw a line using pictures of a line that would form the shape of the line. See, I have this bad habit of once I form an idea, I just kind of roll with it, never stopping to ask why. Thankfully, I learned that there is a package for rendering lines. It's called Line Renderer.
I mean, it's not rocket science, you know, I ain't up.
I then asked my friend Alice Ingrid to draw the line as an exponential curve, as the other crashes do. However, I was unable to figure out the scaling borders that are prevalent in the other games, so I opted for a scrolling background. However, once the ship reaches its maximum height, it's kinda just sitting there, which is boring. I gotta give something to tickle the attention spans of the dopamine-deprived youth. So I made the ship do a little wiggle after a while. It will also start to move downward as it flies to accentuate the sense of speed. Additionally, I wanted to make sure pulling out felt good, so I added this satisfying coin animation. Any suggestions so I can give it more riz? You slide the doohickey and click the thingamajings for precise grambling grain pulse. While the game of Crash,
I mean, it's kind of cool, but it doesn't make me feel any better, though.
there isn't much of a point to watching numbers go up if they don't benefit you in some way. And since there's no way to turn your bingles into real currency, I've added a shop with Nah, I'm just playing. But you can customize various parts of the game. The hope is that players can build a sort of home in the Bingleton Bazaar. Oh, you don't know Don Bingleton? Let me introduce ya. The game might be free, but rent is certainly not. Currently, I only have Unity ads barely integrated with my game. The plan is to prompt the user to watch an ad when they run out of money, as well as if they want to double the login rewards, which I also haven't implemented yet. And I also don't know what else. So many games just interrupt the experience with ads that just ruin the game. I feel like integrating them as a repercussion for losing can actually help engage users further. Part of the vibe is the bazaar is a sleazy casino, and if you don't have the money to play, you can always do a job for the Dawn.
Congrats. Here it is. There's the magic moment.
So that's pretty much everything so far. I'd like to wrap up development within the next month, so I really want to focus on polish. I would greatly appreciate any feedback. Hope y'all excited to win $1 kajillion soon.